Welcome to GA325 Week 4 Part 2 presentation. This is planning questions for a series. Questions the artists should ask when building a publication system for a literature series are: how many different kinds of content occur in this publication? How do I differentiate parts of the publication while keeping the overall visual theme? What content will remain the same or change for issue to issue? Will the amount of space the new content takes up change in size? And are the publication's components serial, or will they be viewed together as a group? Page order and sequence have been historically based on standard press forms. This can seem complicated. 16 letter-sized pages, when folded upon itself 4 times, it may make more sense to look at how most designers plan their spreads in a project simultaneously. The term for the layout of all pages with page numbers indicated is called editorial pagination. This can be done in a rough thumbnail as well as the page layout palette in Adobe InDesign. A signature is a single folded tabloid page with landscape orientation. The signature spread is cut in half vertically to represent the spine and produce 2 letter-sized pages side by side with portrait orientation. Page 1 of a multi-page publication is going to be the cover and therefore not a spread. It is represented by a single letter-sized page as is done with the back or last page of the whole literature. Let's examine the first 4 pages of a magazine. Page 1, being the cover page, would be printed on the other side of page 2. When you open the magazine, you see page 2 on the left, printed on the back of the cover. Page 3 will be attached to 2 on the right side. Page 4 will be printed on the back of page 3 and be the left side of page 4 and 5 in the spread. This continues throughout the publication. The artist may need to know where to place the articles, which pages the content will go on, and so forth. This needs to be done from the beginning of the project to ensure the selection of the proper font size and text spacing. The first 2-page spread of a 16-page newsletter would consist of page 1, the cover, on the left back of the spread, page 16, the back, on the right side. Page 2 would be printed on the other side of page 1, and page 15 on the other side of page 16. The method on the previous slide should prove less confusing. Some publications, such as books or magazines, have a cover page which leads to an introductory section and a table of contents. This usually is preceded by the core of the articles or sections of the publications, referred to as the guts. Some literature also includes indexes, glossaries, and bibliographies. This is named the tail or the end matter. The material that begins at the cover and leads to the primary section is called the front matter. In most cases, the front matter is most important, grabbing the audience's attention and leading them deeper into the publication's intended reading experience, 1 page at a time. Newspapers versus books. Newspapers tend to be all guts because of the vast amounts of information contained on the small number of pages that it consists of. Newspapers may have a table of contents on the bottom of the cover page. The cover of the newspaper logically has the most important stories. A traditional method of engrossing a reader and bring them into the newspaper or magazine is to have the cover page stories continued on later pages in the publications. This forces the audience to thumb through the mid or later sections to finish the story. So they kind of grab your attention with part of the story right on the front page, and then they force you to the back of the pages to finish it up. This also allows you to be able to thumb through and be able to kind of spend a little bit more time and maybe get interested in something that's further into the paper. Table of content should be planned with care, since they must ensure the reader can navigate easily, along with presenting a first impression of the theme or message of the printed piece. The grid system. To solve organizational, communication, and production problems, designers turn to visual or various grid systems. To align graphic elements such as photos, headlines, subheads, and text blocks, invisible guides are drawn on thumbnails or provided in print software. These guidelines are used to align and place these graphical elements in an organized and neat manner. These horizontal and vertical crossing lines form boxes or triangles, rectangles, and they're called modules. Items are placed in one or more of these modules, with margins or gutters taken into consideration as well. A grid can be just a few guidelines or a series of horizontal and verticals forming a complex set of modules. As you can kind of see in this example too, we have two different ones. We have a loose and simple one, which gives you a little bit of guidance by only having kind of the page broken into quadrants. However, if there is a lot more content, let's say it's like a catalog or so, then you can have a more complex grid because you're going to have a lot more elements to try to align, and that gives you a little bit more, or I should say a little less free-flowing. You're more constricted in that sense because all of those items have to fit on a page in a visually organized way. Benefits of the grid system. When horizontal and vertical grid lines overlap, a square or rectangular modular areas are formed. These areas will also have gaps of space around them to provide empty space between graphic elements. These gaps are called gutters, not to be confused with the gutter in the middle of a spread or either side of the spine. Using a grid on rough layout sketches or creating these guides on master pages inside of InDesign and QuarkXPress reduces layout time considerably, and it allows for quick, orderly placement of elements and provides layout consistency by repeating the grid system across multiple pages.